It's time for your first informative speech. And I know you may be feeling a little bit like the guy on the screen. My goal today is to help give you 5 different ways that you can help not be quite so nervous. I want to describe, first of all, what that nervousness is. It's not in your imagination. I want to give you 5 different things that you can begin to think about that will help alleviate some, but not all, of the butterflies. And then lastly, I want to talk about some elements of a good public presentation. So exactly what is going on when you wake up in the morning and the butterflies are going and you can't eat your breakfast? Is it all in your imagination? Actually, it's not. Your body is responding to a fear that you have about standing up in front of a group of audience and exposing part of who you are. Is it unnatural? No. Are there things that you can do to help combat that fear? Absolutely. But let's first discuss what that fear is. That chemical is produced by your body is called adrenaline. Adrenaline is produced by your body in response to a fear that you have. Either you can fight that fear or you can flee. And since your body's not sure what you're going to be doing, it's giving you something a little extra to help you make that decision. Now, we know that I'm not going to let you flee this responsibility, so you need to fight it and to be prepared. So your body is telling you, okay, since you're going to stand and deliver and do something that's not natural to you, I'm going to help you with your efforts. And the way that I'm going to do that is to produce this chemical that will give extra oxygen to your muscles. Now, we've all heard about moms that can take buses off of small babies, or athletes that hit that perfect home run in the bottom of the 9th inning with bases loaded. But what we sometimes forget about is that adrenaline is a useful tool to help put extra oxygen in our brain, to help us think clearer, for us to be able to say those beautiful lines during our presentation, for us to encode during our presentation, and to decode, to take up what is the audience thinking about when we're doing our presentation, and to use that feedback to help us do a better presentation. So adrenaline is critical. So do I want you to have 200 butterflies before your presentation? Absolutely not. But I do want you to have 2 to 10 butterflies, because that adrenaline that's going through your body is actually going to help you do your presentation. I used to be a swimmer when I was in high school, and I absolutely hated swim meets because I'd get up in the morning and my nerves would be going on, and when I stood up on the blocks, I knew that everybody was watching me and seeing what was going to happen. But when I had those butterflies, I swam really well. Later, as I got better at swimming and more cocky that I was going to win the race, I noticed that those butterflies weren't there. I also noticed that I didn't do well. I've been speaking in communities in the public arena now for almost 40 years. And I know that I'm going to do a much better job when I'm sitting in the audience ready to get up and give my presentation if I have some of my butterfly friends with me. So let's talk a little bit about how you can only have 2 to 10 butterflies instead of 200s. What are some ways that we can alleviate communication apprehension? The first way is to pick a topic that you know about. Oftentimes we're nervous because we're afraid that somebody in the audience is going to have more information than we do. But if you are an expert on your topic, whether it be talking about why you love to garden, or your children, or your favorite author, chances are, because of your experience, nobody else has the same one. So pick a topic that you really like, that you are comfortable with, that when you stand up and you deliver, you know more information than anybody else in the room. The second way to alleviate communication apprehension is pick a topic that you like. Believe it or not, you know a lot of information about a lot of things. But as we grow and we develop, we like things better. So pick a topic that you're excited about. At the end of the semester, I often tell my students the secret of public speaking. And because you're watching this video, I'm going to tell you the secret today. The secret of public speaking is sincerity. Do you really believe? Are you excited? Are you passionate about what you're talking about? That passion shows through. I've done a lot of different things in my life, and I could talk about the Olympic Games in '96. I could talk about my real estate career. But right now, I am passionate about dreaming, about helping people to identify and achieve their dreams. That's what I want to talk about. And if you think back during the semester, every time I've talked about how you can achieve those dreams, I light up. So pick a topic that you like. Secondly, and everyone else in class will see that enthusiasm. So to review, pick a topic you know about. Secondly, pick a topic that you like. The third, put a star by this one. It is the most important out of all of them I'm going to talk about. Practice, practice, practice. There's no way an athlete, a baseball player, can hit a home run if he hasn't practiced hitting the ball. There's no way a swimmer is going to make a gold medal unless they have had hours and hours and hours in that pool. The same way it goes with public speaking. When you are doing a 5 to 7 minute speech, you need to practice your speech in its entirety at least 7 to 10 times. And when I say in its entirety, I mean the introduction, the body, and the conclusion, along with your visual aids. Let's go back and talk about the brain for a minute. Remember that adrenaline's going through your body because the brain believes that it is going to be put into a situation that it's never been put before. And so it's giving you that extra chemical so that you can be prepared. So if you stand up and you've never done an introduction before or the body, the conclusion, the brain's going, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here. The brain cannot depict between fiction and reality. We've discussed this semester. What the brain sees, the brain believes. So if the brain can't depict between fiction and reality, why don't we stand in our bathroom in front of our mirror and practice our speech over and over and over again? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carol Hunsberger, and the purpose of my presentation today is to inform you about the purpose of dreaming. I'm able to do that because for the past 3 years, I have dedicated my life in this pursuit. That's my introduction for my speech. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm practicing it over and over and over again. I'm sitting in the audience. My brain's going, I've never done this before. I'm a little afraid. I'm going to give you some extra adrenaline to help. And all of a sudden, it's my turn. And I come up here and I walk up to the podium and I say, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carol Hunsberger. And the purpose of my presentation is to discuss with you the process of dreaming. I'm able to do that because for the last 3 years, I have dedicated my life to this pursuit. All of a sudden, my brain goes, ding, ding, ding. Wait a minute. I've been there. I have done this before. In fact, I've done this 10 times and everything turned out okay. And you know what happens? Some of those butterflies go away, but the adrenaline is going to remain for almost 20 minutes. Now, I know you're sitting there thinking, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to practice the introduction because then the butterflies are going to go away. Oh, come on, the brain is probably smarter than you are. Think about this. If you have not practiced the body and the conclusion, what's your brain going to do when it hears it for the first time? Wait a minute, I knew I was safe for the introduction. Now the body's of here, and I haven't heard that before. Guess who's coming back and bringing their friends? Absolutely, the butterfly, and you will now have the butterfly convention. As a speech teacher for the last 22 years, I want to reassure you that I know how many times you've practiced just by watching the nerves during your presentation. Practice, practice, practice. I promise you that in itself will make a huge difference in your presentation. The fourth that you can do, and it's probably my favorite, is you need to develop a positive attitude about your audience. When I ask my students, what are you afraid of? Almost 9 out of 10 times they're going to tell me, I'm afraid the audience isn't going to like what I have to say. I'm afraid they're going to think that I dress funny. I'm afraid that they're going to think that I messed up my words or they're going to see my nervousness. Most of the time an audience cannot tell that you're nervous unless you draw attention to yourself. I've already explained to you how important it is to dress professionally for your presentation, so we don't need to worry about that one. But here's a question that I want you to consider over and over again. Are you hoping that your classmates fail in their presentation? Of course not. You tell yourself, I want my classmates to do a really good job. Well, don't you think your classmates are thinking the same thing about you? You are doing your presentation in the best of all possible environments. You're doing yours in a speech class. And it's the best environment because everybody else in class is in the exact same position. We want you to do well. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm back there high-fiving and crossing myself and saying, please let them do well. I want you to be great. And I'm not here to tell you what you've done wrong. I'm here to help you get, remember, a little bit better. I had a student in my class one time, and his name was WW. And WW was a little strange looking. He had discussed with the class that he had been incarcerated for several years for committing a murder in a barroom brawl. And he was only about 5'7", big thick glasses. He wore the same outfit to class every single time. Blue jean overalls and a black shirt. We were all a little nervous about WW, and he was quite aloof and very quiet. It came the day for WW's speech, and it was going to be informing his audience how to juggle. So he comes up and he shuffles to the podium, and he has his 3 balls, and he begins to juggle them, and he drops one, and it rolls to the back of the room. WW hangs his head, and he storms out of the classroom. We're sitting very still because we're not sure what's going to happen with WW, and he collects himself and comes back, and he hangs his head, and he says, Miss Carroll, I am very sorry. Can I try again? And I said, WW, absolutely. Why don't you have a seat? And when you're ready, let me know and we'll try again. Several speakers go, and then the next one comes up, and WW goes, Miss Carroll, I think I'm ready to do my speech again. Great, WW, let's go. And he gets up there, and he starts with his attention strategy, and he's juggling his balls, and the same thing happens. He's defeated, and he hangs his head, and there's a beautiful young girl sitting in the back of the room, and she says, come on, WW, we all know you can do it. That's all it took. One person letting them know that she believed in his ability to stand up and deliver. WW got that ball and did a fantastic job. We all have that same attitude when you give your speech. Please think positive thoughts about us, because I guarantee you we're thinking positive thoughts about you. The next way that you can control your communication apprehension is to picture yourself succeeding as a speaker. When you're practicing in the bathroom at night reading your presentation, I want you to think good things. I'm going to stand. My notes are going to be there. My PowerPoint is going to go off without a hitch. Everyone's going to be looking at me and smiling at me. Tell yourself that you can do it, and you can. We've all discussed in here that self-fulfilling prophecy. Tell yourself you'll be great. Prepare that you're going to be great. And guess what? You're going to be great. The last one is kind of tricky to do, but I've had to do it several times, and that is act confident. When it's time for your presentation, I want you to stand up. I want you to stride to this podium confidently and know that you are ready. That in itself shows power. It also shows that you're excited to be there and that you believe in what you're going to have to say. If you believe in what you're talking about, we're going to believe. So those are 6 ways that you can control communication apprehension at home thinking about it. Pick a topic that you know about. Pick a topic that you like. Practice, practice, practice. Develop a positive attitude about your audience. Picture yourself succeeding, and then lastly, act confident. Once you've practiced and practiced, there's one other thing that I want you to consider, and these are elements of a good public presentation. This is what I'm looking for when you deliver your speech. First is commitment. Did you practice? Did you prepare? Do you have an outline? Have you done what I have asked you to do for this presentation? You need to demonstrate to me that you are committed to doing a good job. Second element is topic. We've all discussed your topic. You're ready to go. The third is sense of purpose. Do you know what you're wanting from your audience? Are you informing us? Are you persuading us? Are we celebrating? Are you demonstrating? Do you have a clear vision as to what you're hoping your audience will get from your presentation? Audience participation. Now, I'm not talking about by a show of hands, everybody clap, everybody dance. Audience participation is, are you engaging your audience through eye contact, through your gestures, so that your audience is interested in you? Have you given your audience reasons to stay with you and to concentrate, pay attention during your presentation? Substance. There's 3 parts of a speech: an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Introduction should be probably about 30 seconds to a minute. Your body of your speech should be 2 to 4 minutes, and your conclusion is probably about 20 seconds. Did you add a body to your presentation? Does your speech have meat? Do you have main points? Have you developed those main points in your presentation? Or did you just have an introduction, maybe give me 1 point and say, in conclusion? If your combined introduction and introduction and conclusion is longer than your body, then you don't have enough substance in your presentation. Appropriate structure. Simple logic. Does your points flow from point A to point B? Did you use transition sentences to get from these points? Did you have an effective and proper conclusion? Last is skillful language. One of the reasons that we practice our presentations is to make sure that A, we know how to pronounce the words that we're using. The written word is very different than the spoken word. Students that get up here and stumble over pronunciation of words is a huge red flag for me. It shows that you might have plagiarized your speech, because we're not going to use words in everyday conversation that we do not know how to pronounce. Make sure you know how to pronounce speeches. I had a student one time who got up and said, the purpose of my presentation is to talk about Socrates and his 3 premises. And I'm looking around the audience, and we all figured out very quickly that she had no clue as to what she was talking about. She didn't mean to say Socrates, she meant to say Socrates. And Socrates did not have little mice running around. He had premises. Make sure you know how to pronounce the words. If it's a medical term, if it's an old Hebrew word or a dead language and we're not sure how to pronounce the word, come talk to me and together we'll figure out how to pronounce that word. But if this is common language, you should know how to pronounce that word. The other thing you need to make sure you do is to use the right word in the right sentence the right way. Had a student who was talking about his visit to Russia. And he says, as I got to the Kremlin, the guards were standing there, shoulders back, in full erotic uniform. And I looked around and I was kind of going, and the audience was confused. What kind of erotic uniform was he wearing? A little G-string? What was erotic? He did not mean to say erotic. He meant to say exotic. Completely different meaning. So today's lesson, our little video short, has been about the way that you can call or to work with communication apprehension. To welcome a few of those butterflies, knowing that's a good sign that you're getting ready to do a great speech. And lastly, to check off that list to make sure that you're committed with a great topic and a speech that flows and language that everyone understands. Best wishes.